going to be using ArcGIS Pro today, and we're going to be creating a new geodatabase that's going to contain a Mosaic dataset. So I simply have launched ArcGIS Pro. This is version 2.4. 2.4.1 is out. I did not click on the update. I'm working on a instructional machine right now, and I saw the update was due this morning, but I didn't do the update because I didn't want it interfering with what we're doing today. So slight update is out there, but what I've seen so far on other machines is not making much of a difference, especially in this topic. So I have launched ArcGIS Pro. I'm going to create a brand new blank map project. I think folks have seen this before, but some folks, this ArcGIS Pro is brand new. This is how you start a brand new project. I'm simply calling it MD. That's shorthand for Mosaic Dataset. I'm going to navigate around on my C drive here. Here's my data folder. And in fact, I'm going to see the TECHtalk folder here in just a little bit. And that is where I'm going to place this project. ArcGIS Pro, by the way, different than an ArcMap document. ArcGIS Pro is really designed for project-based applications. So let's say that this is a big project we're starting and we want to create a new geodatabase, a whole new ArcGIS Pro project for it. I'm going to tell it not to create a new folder. I want everything to be stored inside this Mosaic Dataset folder. Now, by the way, this is my Mosaic Dataset folder. I'll step you into this. This is the C drive, the data folder, TECHtalks. You saw me walk into this or click into this just a minute ago. Here's my Mosaic Dataset folder. Nothing's here right now other than the source data that I'll be using for the workshop or the webinar. I'm now going to click OK, run back over here, and we'll see what's happening. Notice it has created a geodatabase for us. Now, it, of course, put focus back on ArcGIS Pro. And let's go ahead and see what it did. We have our APRX file. That's our ArcGIS Pro project file. The project's toolbox, custom toolbox. But this is the important one for me right here. This is the geodatabase. This is a file-based geodatabase. Inside this, previously, you saw this NAIP, that's NAIP, National Agricultural Imagery Program quarter quads. And I have not all 6,000 some for the state of Idaho, but I do have a handful of those for the state of Idaho. And let's take a look at these individually now inside ArcGIS Pro. I'm going to navigate across to my catalog pane, expand the folders, and since I set up this project, I'm already automatically jumping to the Mosaic Dataset folder, so I really like that capability. Here are my TIFF files. I'm going to select all of those, right-click on any one of them, and tell it to add to current map. Now this is maybe a very common routine. You've got some aerial imagery out there on your machine, or maybe it's out on a server, and you go out and you find that data. Maybe it's a bunch of pieces like this one right here. You right-click on it and bring it into your map over and over and over again. But it's in pieces. And when it's only 6 pieces like this, it's not a big deal. However, if it's 600 or 60 or 6,000, that becomes a big deal because you saw the load time that we just had. Not the greatest of performance that way, and that's because it's reading all that raw data and streaming it into the computer off of my hard drive. That's what the stuff looks like. It's your normal NAIP aerial imagery. This is NAIP aerial imagery from 2017, as you can see from the Pocatello area. Once it's in, it does respond, pretty nice. It builds a little cache for us. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these. And we're going to approach this in a slightly different way. Here's my Mosaic Dataset geodatabase, and that's just the name that I gave it. It really doesn't contain a Mosaic Dataset at all yet. Now, by the way, you don't have to have an absolutely empty geodatabase to do this. You could put a Mosaic Dataset into any existing geodatabase. This one just happens to be absolutely empty for this webinar. One thing I did want to pause and show you once again. Here's our Mosaic Dataset, md.geodatabase. Again, nothing in there yet. It's only consuming 122 kilobytes on my hard drive. There are folders in here. This is all the overhead, the architecture of ArcGIS and the geodatabase, that framework. So, tiny little thing right now, 122 kilobytes. We're going to see that change a little bit. The folder here that contains all my source data is quite a bit larger. It is 1.2, 1.3 gigs in size. So we'll kind of take note of that. Okay, now back to Pro, the MD geodatabase. Going to right-click it, tell it I want to create something new. What is that something I want to create new? Well, it's a Mosaic Dataset. Now, this imagery that we just looked at, the raw source imagery, has a spatial reference system of UTM, Universal Transverse Mercator, zone 12 north, NAD 83. That's the full spatial reference system for that source data. In other parts of Idaho, the source data will be in UTM zone 11 north, NAD 83. It sounds like that is going to cause us a problem. Maybe we got to project everything into one system or the other. But the Mosaic Dataset really it's really powerful. So you do not have to reproject anything as long as the source imagery is projected and correctly defined. In other words, it has that PRJ information associated with it, then we're in perfect condition. Now watch what I'm going to do. The output coordinate system of the Mosaic Dataset is going to be, and they're suggesting Web Mercator. I'm not going to go with that suggestion. I'm going to go with a projected coordinate system in an accepted state system. The one that I'm going to look for here is Idaho's system, which is Idaho Transverse Mercator. I will find it, and there it is. Another little tip for you, a hint for you, select this thing, right-click it, tell it to add to favorites. Now, I can jump to this really easily from this point on. Click OK. This is as far as we have to go in creating a Mosaic Dataset. These are the critical steps. I'm just going to run it. You're going to see it's going to take maybe a minute, minute and a half to complete this. And it is done. So that's cool. Let's go back now to Catalog. There is my aerial imagery Mosaic Dataset, and in fact, it added it to my map. But there's nothing here yet, and that's just fine. Don't get nervous about any of this sort of stuff happening in the contents pane. So now what I want to do is I want to add rasters. So now I'm clicking and selecting the aerial imagery Mosaic Dataset, right-clicking on it, and I'm simply going to tell it to add rasters. Now this is an interesting capability also. I could simply, well, I'll step you through this top to bottom, left to right. There's our Mosaic Dataset. It knows this is the one I'm dealing with because that's the one I right-clicked on. It's a raster dataset that's going to be built, default processing templates. That's all good. So we can kind of ignore this. Maybe a quick double check here is good. The input data, it says by default is files. So I'm going to have to find all my individual files and select them more or less one at a time. But I'm going to take a little shortcut here and tell it that my input data is a folder. I want ArcGIS Pro to bring in every image that it finds in a given folder. What folder is that? Well, that's the one we were looking at a minute ago. Folders, Mosaic, that's my project, and it's this folder right here. I don't have to go any further than this. Just a single click to highlight it. We'll see that it appears down here in the name text box. Click OK. That's good. Now, we're not done here yet. If we click Run now, we kind of made a mistake. So what we want to do is look at our additional options, and these are actually important. I don't even consider them options to making this work really well. Okay, so I'm going to widen this out a little bit so folks can see this. Advanced input data options. I'm going to tell it, but normally by default, I'll say include subfolders, which is good because when you get a large data delivery, oftentimes you're going to have maybe the, let's say, NAPE 2019 folder, and within that there will be a subfolder for the imagery in UTM zone 11, and another folder for all the imagery in UTM zone 12. And the delivery could be very, very similar to this. So I tell it include subfolders as well. I can allow it to allow duplicates at this point. It's absolutely empty, so that doesn't matter. And that's the things I want to check here. Now, this is also interesting. Input data filter. If I'm worried, or if I know that there's an occasional JPEG image that might be in some of these folders, and maybe it's like a thumbnail that was saved in there, what I can do is I can filter the folder and tell it that I only want ArcGIS to retrieve and deal with TIFF files. So I could write star.tiff in here if I wanted to. I don't need to do that in this case because that folder was very, very strictly showing and containing only TIFF files. So let's go to the next one, raster processing. This is an important one to look at also and to deal with. Whoops, here we go. I want to tell it, calculate statistics, build raster pyramids. This is important as well to getting a finished product as fast as possible. Mosaic post-processing, also important. Build thumbnails. Now I'm going to show you, when I click a couple of these buttons, another one is going to disappear. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options right now. Tell it to build thumbnails. Now when I click on update overviews, it says, oh, to update overviews, I have to do these other things anyway. So it kind of just rolls it up. Don't get too nervous about that. It is just normal. And now I'm going to run it. It won't take it very long to do this. Notice on the contents pane, it locked everything up. It's busy. There are 6 items it's going to put into this thing. It's building all this for me very nicely. Now, if you're dealing with the 6,000, this is a job that kind of runs overnight. What we're seeing it doing right now is building those overviews. This is a very good thing. And there we have it. Done. Turn off the footprint. It looks just like it did before. Responds very nicely. And actually, when you start playing with this, it responds better. And the other thing you're going to see with the Mosaic Dataset, that if we had some color differences between one tile and another tile, that the Mosaic Dataset does a very nice job of color balancing automatically for us. So that is how to build a Mosaic Dataset and load aerial imagery into this thing. I'm going to open the floor for any questions. If you have questions, you'll need to unmute yourself and then feel free to ask that question. We have a little bit of time before we're going to be completed here. We can run the question and answer session out to noon if folks want to stay that long. If someone's trying to ask a question, I'm not hearing anything because you might be on mute. One other thing I did want to show you is just like any other imagery, we can play with or adjust the symbology. Okay. Lots of different things that we can do with this. I can come up to the appearance of my Mosaic layer. I can make it brighter. I can make it more or less contrast. I can apply lots of different changes to it. And now that, by the way, those changes are not saved internally to the Mosaic dataset, but rather they are saved to the project. And to keep those changes, I would have to save the project, but I could also save this as a layer file right there. Not going to deal with that too much today. I'm going to hang on here just a little bit if there's any questions. And if not, we'll sign off. This has been recorded, and I will roll up the recording and get that posted out and sent out to the community so you can watch it again later on if you need to do this on your own computer and want to kind of use this to help you step through the process.
Hey, Keith.
Yes, go ahead, Frank.
Hey, have you played much with, I'm currently mosaicing a few thousand photos together for some folks in Arizona. And one of the issues is it's real nice with the NAPE imagery because everything's all square and fits together. But if you've got just standard registered rectified orthophotos, there's both a seam line and footprints component you can play with. I'm curious if you've messed with that at all.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to play with that. If the collars on the source imagery are not consistently one color. With this imagery, you know, NAPE is really quite well done. So the black collar that's on those images, we didn't even see them when we brought the images in by one at a time because ArcGIS interpreted that as a no data, and it was very consistently no data, so it clipped it off. If you don't have a nice, clean, no data collar, then you're going to have to play with those footprints, and they can be kind of a pain to do that. But I still think that the Mosaic dataset is going to produce a better product for you instead of just trying to mosaic the X number of imagery files into one new GeoTIFF.
Yeah, I concur. I think there's some pretty powerful things you can do with the Mosaic dataset. I think it's the image overlap is the real issue that we're playing with here, but I think in the next month I'll get that figured out, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, the other thing to think about the Mosaic dataset is that we can spatially stack our data like we did here, right? Things are to the east and west and north and south of each other. We can also temporally stack imagery. So if I had one scene of, let's say, Landsat satellite imagery from May 1st of 2019, and then I had another one over the exact same area from June 1st and another one over July 1st, I could add all of those into my Mosaic data set. And then ARC would detect that that is temporal data, and I could show at the click of a button, literally so fast, I could show the May imagery, then swap it over to the June imagery, and so on and so forth. That's another way to look at and think about the Mosaic data set. We're also using the Mosaic data set for our LiDAR Bare Earth service, and that works out really well. And what I've noticed is that when we have LiDAR imagery that has a source spatial resolution of 1 meter and some other stuff of 0.5 meter, if those areas overlap, automatically the 0.5 meter stuff floats to the top, if you want to call it that, and the user is interacting with the higher resolution stuff by default. So that's kind of cool as well. Were there some other questions? Maybe some chat line questions? Yeah, you can control the order of the images in the Z order. So that's a question from Linda. I think that's Linda Davis, L. Davis. See this Z order field right here? It's null right now, which is the default from Esri. But what we can do is we could set that this one is number 1, this one's number 2. So if you have overlap, we can control which one is shown. And I have used that on another project where we were stitching together some drone imagery that did have quite a bit of overlap, and I wanted some of the stuff that was better spatially registered to kind of automatically float to the top, and this is the way to do it right here. I hope that helps, Linda. I think this is Linda that I'm talking to. Okay, folks, you know, we wanted to keep this short and sweet. Hope you learned some things. Hope you had a little bit of fun. Oh, yes, yes, yes. How big is the mosaic? Let's take a look at what happened. This is interesting stuff, actually. Let's take a look at this md.geo database. Look, it's only 1 meg. It got a little bit bigger, but not much. There's a new folder here called MD Overviews. This is 29 megs, and this one hasn't changed at all. It's still the 1.2, 1.3 gigs. So this is really cool. We haven't hardly changed anything, and yet we have this brand new capability. Another really cool thing to think about, to understand about the Mosaic dataset, is I could create another one right now that's in state plane coordinate system, serve out maybe 2 different types or forms of Mosaic dataset. 2 different types of users can take a look at it and make use of it, and I'm not duplicating the data. I'm reading from the exact same source data all the time. I'm gonna get maybe another meg in my Mosaic data set. I'll get another, you know, chunk of overviews, but that's it. Very, very powerful capability. I hope you can take advantage of it in your workflows.